Hi, this is Vince of vinceprep.com and Agos Consulting. I'm doing a lot of interview training right now, and I wanted to pass along three kind of best practices or tips. I've got so much information on my website, vinceprep.com, and over at here on my YouTube channel that I just thought cut through the clutter and give you all the sort of three best things that I can tell you right now to get started. The first thing, first of all, I'll just list them. This is advice I'm always giving people in mock interviews is if you got three things, list all three of them and then go back to them in case you forget. It also helps the listener understand where we're headed. So I'm going to tell you three things. I'm going to talk about mirror method a little bit. Talked about it before. I'm going to talk about it again. I'm going to talk about 16 stories, which is the newest thing that's exclusive to my YouTube channel. 16 stories. I'll talk a little bit about that. And the final thing, which is beyond really MBA interview prep, is sort of the best advice I've ever gotten for life. And that relates to, I wish I had my copy here with me. It's downstairs, but Improv Wisdom, which is this book that was written by my best teacher and mentor ever, who's Patricia Ryan Madsen, who created the improv program at Stanford. I want to talk about improv wisdom and how it might relate to MBA interview training and how it definitely relates to life training. All right, so mirror method, first of all, go to Google and or whatever search engine you use and just type three words, Vince, my name, Vince, mirror method, Vince mirror method. I'm pretty sure you'll find it. It's the sort of the original thing that I created for interview training, and that's very much based on the advice of my mentor and acting teacher and improv teacher, Patricia. When I was back at Stanford doing a lot of theater, she gave me the great advice of preparing for my roles by talking to myself. And in those days, it wasn't so easy to record your own voice. We used cassette tapes, if you've ever seen those anyway. Not so much recording, but just speaking in real time. A lot of people also like to record themselves these days. It's so easy to do. Whatever, record yourself but anyway, make it visual, I think is the key thing, because the interview is not like standing on a stage and acting, because you're not delivering, hopefully not just delivering a memorized speech, you're listening and interacting. But I definitely believe that the real-time feedback of watching ourselves can help us overcome fear and help us become more confident with our own story. So mirror method, that's the sort of 10 most common MBA interview questions. A lot of them are useful as well for job interviews. Tell me about yourself. Walk me through your resume. At the end, also questions for your interviewer. So those core 10 or 11 questions should help you for any interview that you're preparing for, even HBS, which doesn't always ask many of those questions, but will for sure ask a few of them. So mirror method is the first step. The second step is 16 stories. For 16 stories, again, go to your search engine of choice and type Vince 16 stories, or hunt around here on YouTube. You won't find it at vinceprep.com. It's only on YouTube for now because I'm still developing it, and it's not quite. I usually write about things at the end. That's the improviser in me. I talk a lot, and then I figure out what I want to write at the very end. So it's for now a YouTube playlist of 16 stories. 16 stories is the master course for behavioral interview questions. Behavioral interviews, quite simply, as I've said elsewhere on my channel, my YouTube, and on my website about behavioral interviews. Behavioral interview questions are simply questions about real stuff that's already happened. So it's about the past. And Harvard might only ask one or two, maybe three behavioral interview questions in the typical 30-minute HBS MBA interview. They may not ask very many behavioral interview questions because they've got so much data on you. They've got your 30-page PDF there, either printed out or more likely on their iPad or wherever it is. They've got all the data right there at their fingertips. All of the short essays that you wrote, the mini boxes, the mini essays, whatever they're called, the small box application data forms stuff, all those most significant accomplishment, greatest challenge, whatever it's called. What is it? Biggest challenge. Sorry, I'm forgetting. Biggest challenge, most significant accomplishment, and I don't know, challenge, some kind of challenge. I'm sorry. All those answers that you wrote, plus all the stuff that your recommender wrote about you, all the stories that your recommender told in the recommendation letters. They've got all that. They've got all the things you wrote, not to mention, of course, your own essay. All that data. So Harvard's not really there to help to hear you talk about how great you are and tell them 3 more accomplishments. They're more likely to ask you to analyze yourself. What other people think are your 3 weaknesses or something like that. And if they want to hear an example, they may ask for it. But it's not like MIT Sloan MIT Sloan MBA, not fellows. Sloan MBA interview has a lot of behavioral interview questions, maybe 3 or 4 questions, and that may be the whole interview. Stanford as well, Stanford GSB MBA interview alumni are told basically to ask exclusively or almost exclusively behavioral interview questions, and it might be a 10-minute conversation. So 16 stories is the way to get comfortable with behavioral interviews. That's the answer. I should have said that at the beginning. Finally, the last thing is, again, the last thing to do after you've practiced the mirror method core interview questions and after you've prepared your 16 stories and practiced them enough to make them comfortable, so you're going beyond memorization so you can actually talk about them comfortably, spontaneously, with real emotion and real feeling, and also active listening, not just blasting out your answer and not interacting with your interviewer. The last thing to do is read Patricia's book, Improv Wisdom. It's in 10 different languages. If you want to read it in your own language, chances are it's been translated already into your language. It's a great, powerful little book that has sort of, I think she calls them maxims, or sort of life, 10 commandments of improv, if you will. And there's 13, I think, actually. And they're not commandments, absolutely not. And it's not directly related to MBA interviewing, but it is definitely related to sort of how to live a good life. And absolutely, improv is useful for every interview that you'll ever face, job interview or any interview, especially the HBS interview, which is among the most unpredictable. I love helping people for their HBS interview because I believe that I'm giving you life skills, improv skills, if you will. The HBS interview is unpredictable. Your interviewer does not have a fixed set of questions. They are asking whatever they want, whenever they want, following their own interest and very much following up on what you've just said. So it's highly interactive and somewhat and highly unpredictable. Therefore, Patricia's book, Improv Wisdom, hopefully will give you a confidence for life. And of course, also your HBS interview. HBS interview training is my favorite thing to do. It is something, I don't know if I'm the world's best admissions consultant. I honestly think I'm one of the best, but I do aspire to be the world's best HBS interview trainer. It is the one thing in my life in terms of my professional career as an admissions consultant that I do strongly believe that there's nobody better, and I don't want there to be anybody better. I want to be the world champion HBS interview trainer, because I believe I come at it from a very different perspective, and that perspective is improv, and that perspective is very much contained in Patricia's powerful little book, Improv Wisdom. So that's my last thing. As always, thank you for watching. Please subscribe to my YouTube channel. Subscribers are the first to know when I have made new videos. Best of luck with your interview, and bye for now.